From the national newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo. Ukrainian officials have upped the casualty count from what they say was a Russian ballistic missile with cluster munitions that struck a residential area of the northern Ukraine city of Sumy yesterday. They say 11 people were killed in the attack, including 2 children, and more than 80 others were injured. The attack damaged 15 buildings. Tomorrow marks the 1,000-day milestone of Russia's war on Ukraine. After extensive lobbying by Ukrainian officials, U.S. President Joe Biden has reportedly authorized the use of U.S.-supplied longer-range missiles by Ukraine to strike deeper inside Russia. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is set to meet with U.S. President Joe Biden today at the G20 summit in Brazil. Trudeau's also scheduled to meet today with a few other heads of state, including Japan's new Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and newly installed Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Yesterday, Trudeau argued that misinformation is threatening environmental progress. He defended his embattled carbon pricing program when he addressed a conference held by the anti-poverty group Global Citizen. He touted Canada's consumer carbon levy as among the world's strongest, but he said it is an easy political target back home.
There's a sense that affordability is in direct contrast with our moral responsibility to protect the planet. And that is something that, unfortunately, people have been amplified and used propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and flat-out lies to scare people.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has vowed to cancel the policy. The House of Commons approaches its 8th week of a filibuster over a privilege motion as concerns about future trade talks emerge.
Both the Ontario and Alberta premiers are calling on Canada to exclude Mexico from North American free trade talks slated for 2026 due to the level of Chinese investment in that economy. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau calls Mexico a solid partner, but acknowledges the concern about Chinese investment. This comes as the incoming Donald Trump administration promises a universal 10% tariff on all imports. Meanwhile, Trudeau is at the G20 summit in Brazil as other nations seek out Canadian advice on how to deal with a Trump presidency. David Baxter, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
A trial is set to begin today for 2 men accused of smuggling migrants across the Canada-U.S. border.
The 2 men are accused of being part of an operation that brought dozens of people from India to Canada, then across the border from Manitoba to Minnesota. Prosecutors allege one would arrange to have smugglers in Canada drop migrants off near the border, while the other would wait to pick them up after they crossed. In January of 2022, a family of 4 from India froze to death while crossing the border in a blizzard. The men have pleaded not guilty to human smuggling charges. Steve Lambert, The Canadian Press.
This is The Canadian Press. In sports, backup quarterback Nick Arbuckle is the Grey Cup MVP after leading the Toronto Argonauts to the CFL title Sunday in Vancouver. Forced into action after starter Chad Kelly injured his leg last week, Arbuckle threw 2 touchdown passes in Toronto's 41-24 victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Toronto's Dejan Brissett is the Grey Cup's most valuable Canadian. The wide receiver from Mississauga, Ontario, reeled in a 17-yard touchdown pass midway through the 4th quarter to help the Argos win. Brissett says his team weathered a lot of adversity en route to Sunday's big game.
We believed in ourselves. We offense, defense, special teams, we all feed off of each other, and we got it done in the end.
In NFL action, the Buffalo Bills gave the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the season, beating the Chiefs 30-21. And in the NHL, Alex Ovechkin recorded his first hat trick of the season in a 5-2 Washington Capitals victory over Vegas. From the Canadian Press, I'm Karen Rebo.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.